Well, hello. Good. How are you? One Pepsi down. Just started your second one. Sure you don't have anything else in those Pepsis? What'd you get? Ooh. I can't wait until they come out with the Crown salted caramel for the holidays. We were talking about that the other day. Greg and me and Bobby, and to have the salted caramel mixed with the black cherry Dr. Pepper. Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited about that coming out for the holidays. I'm not a big drinker. I used to be. I used to be a really big drinker. I wouldn't even say really big. Like it was more like beer and like Jack whiskey, but never really got into like the hard, like the vodka, tequila, things like that. Like I'll have sips here every now and then. Like if the wife has a drink and we're at a restaurant and she wants me to taste it, like I will. But I'm not a big like tequila, vodka, gin. Like I don't like it. I don't like it. I like my whiskey. I like it smooth. My my sister's the I think it's always funny to have the stories told to us of how we act when we're inebriated. Um, th- in my early to mid 30s is when we really did it. It was pretty wild. Like I can remember we went to go see um we went to go see Falling in Reverse. We went to go see Escape the Fate when they were doing their double tour. So Craig and Ronnie, they were doing their double tour at, I want to say it was Janice Live. So it was like a really small open air venue there in St. Pete, and we ended up getting a hotel that was like right next door. And we had went with two of our other friends, M's best friend, Chrissy, and then we went with her boyfriend James. So instead of sitting down in like the open air, like the patio, the standing area, we ended up getting a VIP booth. So it was a little booth up top. It had a balcony, it had its own little entryway and room, but there was a deposit, and the deposit, you could end up getting food and alcohol. So we had pineapple juice and orange juice with vodka. We had beers, we had pizza. And I got so shit faced towards the end of it that I was like, I ended up dropping the entire, I think it was like an entire bottle of like mixed OJ and vodka. Like I had crammed the rest of the vodka in the orange juice bottle. Ended up dropping that, walked outside. M had to get me back to the hotel room. Um, got to the sidewalk and we were waiting for the lights to change, and then the white hand ended up coming up on the sidewalk, and I was super stupid. Like the first thing that came to my mind was not something that I should say when I see a white hand appear on a crosswalk, and I had said something, and M was like, "Jason, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up." So we get back to the hotel room. She's got to literally take me off of the balcony because like I'm hanging off of the balcony and like yelling and like drunk and yeah. So I don't let myself get that drunk anymore. Bad things happen when I get that drunk, and I lose basically all motor functions and like just common sense at that point, and I just become a bumbling idiot, a fucking buffoon. Yeah, very belligerent. So drinking and me they don't go hand in hand. I might have a beer. I think that the desire went out the window. It's the same thing with me. Like when we go under, I still have beer left over from our summer vacation that we went to Orlando that I ended up getting a case. Yeah, it's typically like 2 or 3 with me and then I'm done. Like I'll fall asleep and I think that's the way that it was when I was younger. Like I had so much energy and so very little like well, I wouldn't say very little, but I had inhibitions and things like that. And there are things that I did. But like I was always drinking or I would always do this or I would always do that and then I think that I hit like a certain age and it's like I don't really want to do this anymore. Like I'll have a yeah, I'll have like a beer or a drink like once every 2 or 3 months and then I'm good. But going through a case of alcohol in a weekend like I used to, like I no, I don't do that anymore. This old age, like I can't do it. I can't do it because I wake up the next morning and then I regret everything, and it's like, why in the hell did I do what I did? So there's no point in it. I've lived, I've learned. Do you ever get into a point where you've been in a social setting and you have said something and then immediately after realized that what you said shouldn't have been said in the setting that you said it in? I don't have my mom to make me flinch. I got my wife to make me flinch. Like I've I've became better or I'm getting better at that. But I'm still learning. So, tis we get older, we learn. How are we? Hey, Drug. Hope you're doing well. Well, Everybody, thank you for being here. Drug, thank you for being here. Monkey, thank you for being here. Uh, that seat is always yours, and nothing will ever change it. You are the second part of this, and this podcast could not go on without you. Well, it could, but it wouldn't be as good, I should say. So, but again, I can't thank you enough for doing this endeavor with me and us beginning this journey and starting something that we can call ours because I wouldn't have another person beside me other than you. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. So I guess what that goes into. So we did our first episode last month. The first episode we ended up covering, and it was a pretty lengthy episode. It was longer than I thought that it was going to be. We talked about respawn in real life, men's mental health checkpoints, where we covered, sometimes that you need a save point, where we talked mental health check-ins, coping strategies, how to survive life's boss battles without rage quitting. We covered some, really good talking points, why men struggle to admit when they're not okay, how gaming checkpoints. How gaming checkpoints mirror mental health check-ins and identifying signs of burnout. So before we get into everything, we want everybody to know, right now we are not therapists by any means. Um, right, right. It's we are guys who know the struggle. We love a good game. We believe a strong beard makes for a strong man, or at least it hides our double chin. So our second episode we're going to get into today, I think that we're covering patch notes for your mind. And to give a little bit of back history on that one, it is discovering small mental health tweaks that can patch bad habits, level up your mood, and improve your daily XP gamer style. Um, have you seen the house picks? We have not, but we would love to. Um, so the concept for this week is discussing how small mental health tweaks can patch bad habits and improve grind, daily XP with gamer humor and real talk. So our first segment would be bug fixes. And what I mean by that is mental habits that we need to uninstall. Um, and DLC, which would be new hobbies or routines that we have added. So, what are some mental habits that you think that we as men need to uninstall? Okay. I like it. I like it. I mean, there's a couple of them. I think that one of the biggest things, and I'm at fault for this. And this is one of the things that I'm learning how to, I wouldn't say really like flip the switch and turn off, but I'm learning to be open and to speak out about it. Um, but I think that a lot of the things that we as men end up doing in the habit is that we get to the point where we suppress our emotions, where we, not dealing with problems and we refuse to ask for help. Um, I think that the shift or the daily shift would be, we acknowledge and we face our emotions head on. Um, True strength definitely is found in confronting challenges and not running away from them. And then I believe that the action to that would be that, we need to start asking for help earlier. We need to recognize that vulnerability is not a weakness. Um, I have a tendency um, to bottle everything up inside and not talk about it and continue to bottle. I think he is. I think he is moving. I think that that's why his stream was canceled, or that he's not doing a stream tonight. I could be mistaken. I know that he's been talking about moving, but I haven't seen anything or read anything in Discord about it. No, I haven't caught very many either. So first truck is packed, about to hit the road. Drug, you have a safe trip, buddy. Let us know when you guys get there and arrive safely, and once you get everything all situated, and definitely keep us posted. Um, so yeah, it's emotional suppression and avoidance. We avoid confrontation. We avoid emotion. We avoid not facing problems head on. We avoid asking for help. And I think that it gets to a point where asking for help shows vulnerability and it shows weakness. And we as men don't like asking for help because we don't want to be looked at as weak. We don't want. I mean, it definitely comes off as imperfect, but nobody is perfect. There's not a situation where you're gonna have all the right answers. In shape. It's I don't know, man. It's weird. Like I am a person that deals with that on a daily basis, and my wife has to constantly tell me. She was like, "Listen," and I mean, I guess it even goes into the whole thing. Like I talk to my kids about this in school. It's like, listen, if you have a problem, be the solution to the problem. I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. And I think that that really strikes a nerve with me, and especially marriage and real life and life outside of school, because I don't like asking for help. I for the longest time I've thought, and even being raised in a household where, you know, don't be weak, don't be a pansy, you don't ask for help, you don't show emotion, you you're just hard and grouchy 100% of the time. And if you can't do it, you don't ask for somebody else to help you with it. You just deal with it to the point to where deal with it until you can get to the point to where you can complete it on your own. But I think that that's where your significant other comes in. Like, you should be able to talk to your wife about anything. And I'm slowly getting to that point. Like, I'm able to talk to her about a lot of things, but there's still it's weird. Like, eh, I agree wholeheartedly. Um, the other one would be you know, victim mindset and constant excuses, you know, um, feeling sorry for yourself and blaming others or external circumstances for your lack of achievement. Where the shift would be that we need to take accountability for our life and we need to focus on what we can control rather than what we can't. That's a huge habit. I do the same thing. Did I do enough? Am I good enough? Am I enough for this? Am I enough? Am I? But also taking accountability. It's like I've lived in this whole single mindset for the longest time, and she has helped me, and therapy has helped me, um, kind of reshape the way that I look at things and to take accountability for my life and not put my blame on other people. Well, I didn't get this done because of X, Y, and Z. No, I didn't get this done because I didn't get this done, not because of something that somebody else did. They can't help me. M can't help me. She can't help me when things get hard. She can make it less hard by helping me along, but then that also goes into your first one, emotional suppression, asking for help. Like, asking for help is not a weakness, especially in a marriage, and being a husband, being a father, being a best friend, it it's a 50-50 thing. And if you can't ask for help, what can you ask for? Right. How do you feel about excessive hedonism and distraction as habit? You want me to So, elaboration, um, using pornography, gaming, excessive drinking, or social media to escape life's difficulties. Yeah. Right. What what it's kind of the situation that you kind of ran into at the end of January, right? Because and it was I think that that's a thing that I kind of deal with on a daily basis too, is because I got to a point to where I was gaming entirely way too much. And I think that the shift in that is that we confront the issues and the problems we directly, you know? We I wouldn't say instant, but it's almost as replacing instant gratification with rewarding long-term habits. And it's, you know, we use gaming to escape issues. We use social media to escape issues. We use, drinking to escape issues. And, I'm not an alcoholic, but it's, when we talk about men that have issues in life, these are things that they typically end up running to run away or to, yeah. It's, well, I'm going through this issue at home and I can't really deal with it on my own, so I'm going to rely on alcohol, or I'm going to go to the bar after work and I'm going to sit here in a corner endlessly. It becomes a habit over time. But the more that you do said habit becomes a bigger habit in the long run. So how do we shift it? How do we shift our minds from habit forming, from all these things that we deal with, but I think that it has to become something to where you as a person see that it's a habit. Like the individual itself. Like people that are on the outside that's looking inside, that's like, dude, you've got an issue with alcohol, or you've got an issue with gaming, or you've got an addiction to this or X, Y, and Z. It's like you don't realize that you have an issue until other people bring it to light. But how far do you have to go down that hole for you to realize that what other people are telling you? But what's it take to hit rock bottom? And I think that that's really the underlining question, because when you look at habits, men deal with tons of habits. And I'm not saying every man has every single habit, but every man has either dealt with, dealing with, or will deal with at a specific point in life. You have your emotional suppression and you have your avoidance. You have your victim mindset and constant excuses. You have your negative self-talk and criticism. Um, what would I say to a person in this situation? Or, I need to be kinder to myself. You have constantly living in the past. You have, black and white thinking. You have the perfectionism and procrastination of, you have to be a perfect person, or you have to look a specific way, or things will get better, I'll deal with it and I'll put it off until tomorrow. You have the using your gaming and excessive drinking as an outlet. You have, lack of purpose and self-care where we think that, we ignore our diets and we ignore our exercise, lack of sense of purpose, like we're never good enough. you know Issues with that and shifts with that is that, we need to start prioritizing things. We have the need to win and being dominant, being obsessed with having dominance, which leads literally to toxic controlling, aggressive behavior in relationships. All of these things, by intentionally uninstalling these so-called triggers, we as men gain mental clarity. We start developing stronger relationships and we gain a better sense of control over our life. But throughout all of that, the issue is realizing and coming to terms with, dude, I have a problem. What do I do to get over this? Or what do I do to get through this? That is the real, and that's the real question, because it's not about just patching. It's not about the monthly podcast question of patch notes for your mind. It has nothing to do with that. It's what are mental habits that we have as men that we need to install, but then it also plays into what new hobbies and routines are we creating that go in place of these bad habits. If we don't have accountability, and accountability is super important for me, but it's also important in other people. Like, because I'm constantly like, you need to take accountability for your actions. You know, certain situations could be like the way that I talk to somebody, or the way that I come across to somebody, or like how I present myself, or like the emotion that I put behind something. It's like in my mind, I did not think that I was coming off a specific way. But when I realized that other people saw it that way and it wasn't just a one on one thing, it wasn't a one off, it wasn't a fluke, maybe there's really an issue. When things get rough, but I think the true question is, when do we get to the point to where we realize that we have to look deeper? Because are we going to do it on our own? Or are we going to do it when somebody brings it to us? Or, or do we create another habit to mask the habit that we are going deeper into? It's the, wow, they're right. I'm being this way. So, or I'm acting a certain way, or I'm talking a certain way, or I treat other people a certain way. So it's like, do I really want? But these are, you know, these are things that we deal with. And I think that These are the landmines that we tiptoe around, that we don't face head on because we are afraid of how people will perceive us if they go off. And a lot of this I've had to do a lot of self-reflection because there's a lot of these things that I deal with on a daily basis. I there's a lot of times where I don't think that I'm good enough. There's a lot of times where I feel that I'm not worthy to have the life and the lifestyle that I'm in. And a lot of that comes from specific things that have happened in life, or when we get into a situation where things are brought up and things are brought to the light, and then we scurry and throw up walls and do the self detonation, and we tend to get more depressed, and we mask. I feel that, yeah, I agree. I feel that it does feel good, and it helps to talk about. It helps to, yeah. But when in reality, we're running away from our truest self. We mask our situations, and we mask our emotions, and we mask our feelings because we don't want to face things head on. We like to hide behind our crutches. We use our habits masks. We use our habits as crutches, as masks. Oh, I can't get better because I've been this way for years, or I've lived that way for so long. It would be forever before I could get better. But getting to the point where we slowly realize it's like talking about it and realizing that we have a problem and realizing that there's an issue fixes the situation when we talk about it and when we deal with it. Because once we've dealt with it and once we've recognized what our problem is or recognized what our triggers are, we learn how to develop ways of combating that, I should say. It's it I don't know, it's just it's weird. It's weird, It's we we deal with anxiety. We But do we lay it on thick until somebody else like acknowledges it? Almost playing into that woe me pity party, like sorry, sorry situation. Monkey, you've got a problem. That's number three. Oh yeah, yeah. No, I get you. I'm the same way. I'm the same exact way. But it's no, I mean just a lot of good information, and I think that, shining the light on these things and putting the spotlight on specific situations is what needs to happen. There's a lot of things. We deal with anxiety, we deal with depression, Depression could be that, we play on hard mode and we don't even know that we're doing it, you know? It's small patches that we're using to change the whole game could be, our sleep patterns, our diet, talking to a friend, having a brother that you game with, or having a outlet that you have the ability to talk to or communicate with when things are not going the way that you want them to go, which kind of goes into Do you think that cutting everybody out does a disservice to you, or do you think that it does a disservice to them? Do you think Have you ever played a game where you play a level and you get through the level and then it gives you objectives, and when you go to play said level again, and these are typically like those games of playing the fighting games, or you have to go from point A to point Z, so you end up clearing the map first, right? And then you go to upgrade your character, and your character says, "Oh, well, this character needs X, Y, and Z, and X is found on levels 2 and 4, and this is found on levels like 3 and 5, and so on and so forth." So, because of the fact that you've already completed said levels, when you go back, it has that button to where it auto plays. Like you hit it and you don't do anything, it does it automatically for you. Do you think when you shut your family out, your wife out, your kids out, when these situations, do you feel as almost you hit that autoplay button? I think that we tend to do that in situations where we have done things so long. It's almost like doing things over and over and over and over again and expecting different outcomes. It's We've been accustomed to it. We've been seasoned to it. We've been tailored to living a specific way or doing things a specific way. And when something Fight or flight, I think that I tend to do it too, especially when there are big topics and big things that come up that I don't want to talk about or I don't want to deal with. So it's easier for me to compartmentalize everything and kind of just put everything in the back of my mind and just hit autoplay and just go through the motions and the daily grind. Um, Emotional. Yeah. It's I completely agree with you. It's just it's how small patches that we create that end up fixing our life and changing the game entirely. It's our sleep pattern, it's our diet, it's, talking to a friend or having an outlet that you can reach out to. It's small patches like that that we end up creating that ultimately get us to the end result. And ideally that typically what we ask for. It's having that accountability partner that's in our corner that that is because I'm not the only one that's noticing it. There's other people that are noticing. Are you comfy? Are you okay? Is everything going on? Do you need somebody to talk to? But I think that that's where our significant others come in, and they typically see us at our worst, and they see us at our best, and we might not look or act or speak a certain way to our inner circle like we do to our significant others. And sometimes it's hard to realize that we're fucking up or that things aren't necessarily going the way that they're supposed to be going until we hit that metaphorical rock bottom. But, it's it these small patches, it kind of brings me of it brings me to the point of like, patch 1.35 for me would be like, hey, I fixed the glitch where hell, I've had pizza for 4 nights in a row, you know? I've fixed patch 1.37 where it's like I started, I instead of playing the game for 3 hours a night, I'm only playing the game for an hour and a half a night, or I'll pause the game when the wife gets home to, make sure that, everything is okay, or that, I want her to know that I care about her, or I want to know, I want the family to know like I'm here, like if there's an issue or something going on. So it's like, it's funny. It's making small patch notes and fixing specific things that we have control over, but we have the ability to control. I think when it becomes multiple sources, when we have it coming from multiple outlets, is when we realize that it's a major issue instead of coming from the one or two. It's almost like a situation is going on in my classroom and Mhm. Oh, I'm gonna straight up tell you that was a complete DLC, because that was a situation where it was like you are faced with X, Y, and Z. If you don't do this at this point in your life, this is going to be the end result. This is going to be the situation that you're going to be facing. And it's a situation that I had faced for a while. But I think that the situations and the events that have helped that brought me to that said event, I think that those small little events were the patch notes, and then ultimately the you need to lose weight because X, Y, and Z are going to happen. It was a complete overhaul. And I think that it was a DLC for me because it was like I had to completely rework everything. It was a complete rework. It was a complete rewrite. It was training my mind to, you're not hungry and you don't need to eat every 15 minutes to, you know, I'm hungry. I have to have something in my hands every single time. There were times where we would have our podcasts and I would end up going through an entire bag of candy, or I would fix hamburgers for dinner and I would have three hamburgers at a sitting instead of the one hamburger that I am eating now. Or, like an almost like an image reset. Like something happened between this patch and this patch. This update and this update. Where this update didn't really do anything, but yet the second update is supposed to fix everything that happened prior. But then you realize that yeah, I agree. I think I you can clearly see it from your demeanor to the way that you were prior to the job to now after you having the job, and going through your advancement in the company to your raise to them putting you over other places to you being one of the top people in your location. I think that, I agree. It was a really good DLC in the standpoint of it fixed a lot of issues that you had, and it fixed a lot of worries that you were worrying about, to where now you still have some worries, but it's not as many as you once had. You're gonna what? Bicicleta? Okay. All right. Yep. Sorry. No, you're it's like she had poked her head around and she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Apparently, she had texted me, but I didn't read the text because I was deep and lost in translation. But yeah, it's it's the bug fixes, it's the DLCs, it's the patch notes. It was a DLC because it was a complete rework. It it was mind, body, spirit, everything. You know, when you're hit with you need to lose weight or you're going to die. You are pre Oh, I mean, I've been running the same job for the past I mean, this is the 4th year that I've been teaching, but I did. I did. I think that um it was definitely forced because it was out of my control. So it was almost like the dev saying, "Hey, this is an immediate, hot fix that we are doing. The situation where the location that you're currently at is not doing it for you, but there's no position here at this location for you next year. We are forcing you to move locations." So it it was. It was. It was, going from teaching math for 3 years to now teaching business, which is what my degree is in. Um, Going from having to do X, Y, and Z to only having to do A was definitely it was very helpful because it was like, all right, your classwork is already prepared for you. Your coursework is already done for you. The only thing that you need to do is monitor them and make sure that they have the understanding and the knowledge that is in front of them and that they know what they're doing. So it went from you need to have coursework for for 3 different grades and 6 different classes a year to here's your coursework for all 6 of your classes. It is designed inside to be either ninth, 10th, or like ninth, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. So depending on it was a very, very, very good transition. It was more of a culture shock, I can say that, because you're going from middle school to teaching high school. So, in middle school, it's you can't have those hard fought conversations with your kids because the kids just don't care. The kids are coming in from elementary school, they're culture shock, they're learning their emotions, they're learning their feelings, they're learning their voice, they're learning how to speak up for themselves. They're just there. They're going through the motions because one, it's a new environment for them. It's a bigger environment for them. It's more responsibility in terms of you've got to go from class to class to class to class to class, and you have to be in class at a specific time or you're late. Coming from you're in this class all day long and you don't have to leave. So there were a lot of weird changes. There were a lot of weird transitions. But when I realized that I can be, hmm yeah, it was super weird, man, because there was so much that went into it. And when I realized, like, I can sit here and really have a meaningful conversation with a kid, and I can tell the kid, it's like, dude, you're fucking up. you're going to fail if you don't do X, Y, and Z. Like, I can really have those hard conversations with these kids, but it's like, you know, when you're real and you're honest with the kids and the kids understand that you're coming from a place of help and love, they're more inclined to buy in, right? So, for instance, I teach a variety of students. I teach kids from the Caucasian descent to the Hispanic descent to the African American. Like, I teach different, ethnicities in school. I teach Spanish kids. I teach, and it's weird because it's like you have to train yourself and almost form new habits when you're dealing with different kids because different kids learn different ways. So when you have kids that have been in your class, that started in your class, that comes up to you and is like, I don't like this class. I don't want this class. I'm going to try to get out of this class, to kids coming up to you literally during Christmas time and was like, hey, Mr. Hester, here's a pair of Nike Air Jordans. And they surprise you with that red and white box. And you're realizing it's like, damn, like, why? And you ask the kids why. And the kids are like, because you fuck with us, we fuck with you. And I hate to put it in that terminology, but that's exactly the way it is. If you're real with these kids and you talk to these kids on this level and you're honest with them and you're not going to sugarcoat shit, which is what a lot of teachers do these days, because a lot of teachers that like they sugarcoat things. When you're real with them, they respect that, and they respected it. It's having these real conversations. You're messing up, you need to turn things around. Having those heartfelt conversations where you pull a kid to the side and you're like, what's going on? They were like, it's just it makes you do a double take. It When you see that light bulb go off and you see these kids really buy in, and you see kids that didn't give a shit at the beginning of the year, and they're thriving and they're absorbing the knowledge and they're inclined to do whatever it is that you want them to do because they want to do it for you. When you come to it is, it would be my payout. It's a buyout. It's a buyout. These kids buy in because when they realize that you care for them, that you're not just the teacher that's going to sit there and just pass them, but you're going to make them fight for it. When you open your door in the morning to kids that don't have food and have situations at home going on, that haven't ate in 2 days, and they come to you and ask you, can we have a snack, or do you have anything to eat, or do you have X, Y, or Z? And I'm like, yeah, just grab something out of the cabinet. And their facial features change and their mannerisms change, and they say thank you without saying thank you. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what shit they're going on, that they have going on at home. You don't know what's going on in their personal life. But when you take that moment to really buy into them, because they're buying into you, when you buy into them, it it transcends, because these are kids that are going to remember that for the next 4 years going through school. Like, damn, Mr. H really cares about us. Damn, Mr. H really, like, he's here for us. He's not here for the paycheck, which the paycheck is nice, by the way. I would like to point that out, you know? Making that paycheck is definitely worthwhile, and getting the payout from these kids that pass the test is definitely worthwhile, but there's so much more to teaching than just a paycheck and a payout. Like, you make these relationships with these kids, and it's almost like having adopted kids at school, because these are kids that truly and honestly love you. You know, when they come to you and they're like, "Hey, I've got a situation going on. Can you help me out? Can you give me advice?" Why do you want advice from me? Because you listen, you know? And that's what it truly is about. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it was many patches that ended up landing as a major dev DLC that fixed everything. My anxiety, my stress, my worry, money issues, money problems, marital problems, to, you know, how are we going to pay this, or how are we going to pay X, Y, and Z? But it's like landing that job and having that job security was a DLC in its own, because it's like now I can kind of sit back and relax and be like, okay, I have no worries. So what is the next thing that I need to work on? And you kind of like start planning ahead. Like you really. You provide for them to provide for other people. That's your desire for them to quote unquote buy in. They buy in. Yeah, I think that that's really the term for you, is you're doing the same thing. You believe in them, you provide for them, you treat them like human beings, you make the environment somewhere that they would like to come and pick up their things instead of going to these other locations. But you're there. You're somebody that they can count on. You're somebody that they know that they can go to when they need something, or they need to get a resupply. And it not only makes you feel better, but it makes you look good too in the eyes of the higher ups. So when you look good, they look good. When you're doing what you're supposed to do, they have no problems. It's when things go south is when the spotlight gets big. It's when you get put into the radar that you typically don't want to be in. Hmm. I think we all have. Yeah. It just means that you have knowledge. I look at the grays and I look at the salt and pepper and I just think of we have lived a really good life up until now. We've learned we've learned a lot of lessons along the way. We've right. No, I'm the same way. It's when you do things that you're so, when you do things when you start doing things and start thinking about other people instead of thinking about yourself, it makes the journey a lot more desirable because when other people are happy, it means that you're happy. When there's a fuck up and something goes wrong, you learn about it, you hear about it, you deal with it. When things are going good, you still hear about it, you still learn about it, you still deal with it, but there's a lot less issues that occur when everybody is happy than just you being happy. Yeah. I think that this is a good transition for our placements. So, um, we have a company that has sponsored our podcasts. Our company that has sponsored it is Smell Like a Viking. Myself and Monkey are sporting the Smell Like a Viking t-shirts. He's also got some Odin Smoke, some beard and body wash. He's got some beard oil, and I believe he also has beard balm. Um, so this episode is brought to you by Smell Like a Viking. Hear ye, if your beard smells like the inside of a longship after 3 weeks at sea, we've got a problem. If it's giving off notes of wet armor, controller sweat, and leftover feast from the last raid, that's not musk, that's neglect. Real Vikings don't conquer kingdoms just to smell like damp wool and regret. Do the honorable thing. Your beard oil to keep it softer and softer than a freshly pillaged pillow. Balm to tame it before it starts declaring independence, and beard wash to cleanse the battlefield without turning your face into a dry Scandinavian tundra. Your beard should say feared warrior, not lost in the woods since 2018. Visit smelllikeaviking.com because Valhalla has standards. And remember, as always, use code SAVEPOINT for 15% off your entire purchase. Yep. The soap is amazing. I the candles are just as amazing as ever. Um I wish you did more of the soap. I really do. And I'm biased about it because I know that it takes longer in order to do the soap. So the soap isn't really something that sells. And if you look on the website right now, he's not gonna have the soap up there. Um, but I enjoy it. I really like it. the my only con was that I wish it lasted longer. I don't, and I'm a little jealous. No, he's oh, I love mine. I reached out to him the other day and I was like, "Hey, I'm running extremely low on the beard and body wash. I need to get another resupply." Beard balm. I don't use a lot of beard balm, so I've still got a pretty good majority of the beard balm tin that I currently have. You got Odin smoke, right? The beard balm? Yeah. The Odin smoke is super well for the beard balm. Again, I ended up getting North Sea. Um and I just love it. North Sea is the first flavor. If you're wanting to go like a really fragrant and a citrusy one, I would strongly recommend you do the lemongrass because it is super lemony and it's got that very like that citrus flavor. If you're wanting something that smells like the ocean, that has the sea breeze, that has the floral, North Sea is definitely the way that I go. And it's just it's the first flavor that I ever tried. It's the first flavor that I've loved. I've tried Odin Smoke. I really like Odin Smoke, but North Sea is definitely where I will always end up. No matter what flavor that I try, no matter what scent that I try, I'm always going to end up going back to North Sea. And he's constantly, oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's not like a campfire wood smell. It's more like you're walking into a the beams. Yeah, you've got the hints of cedar, you've got the hints of sandalwood, you've got the hints of musk and almost like it's not like a damp wooden cabin, but it's a wooden cabin that's been taken care of for quite some time. It's definitely an interesting scent on the note palette. But yeah, remember Save Point, 15% off your entire purchase. Um, if you guys are in the local area, he is going to be doing, he does all of the Renaissance festivals in the southeast to southwest and even central Florida. Um, so he's actually getting ready to do the Bay Area Renaissance Festival, and I'm gonna go and hang out with him and see if we can cop some stuff for the podcast and maybe even get like a giveaway going. So, maybe a set to where we can give away to a viewer. So yeah, yeah. And I've got some things in plans. I'm talking to him and possibly, um an idea of coming out with our own scent. because I think that that would be really cool to have something that we can call ours. Yeah, yeah. I want something floral, but like, yeah, definitely. But I think that it's something that we should be striving for perfection as men. I think that if we continue to go through life running the same things that we have done since we were teenagers and nothing has changed, we have to realize and we have to understand that we only get better with time. We learn from all the runs that we have done through life, the boss battles that we have fought, the new games that we have played, the we've learned and traversed different terrains and different games, and we've been in different things our entire life. And I think that it's almost a homage. That's how you say it. It's something it's something that comes along with the territory. You know, if we are not making, and I wouldn't say that it would have to it has to be daily. I think that if we look at ourselves at the end of the week, you know, we give it 5 days, we get to the weekend and we realize it's like, hey, I didn't do that really well, or hey, that's something that I need to work on. I'm going to try to do this over the next week. I'm going to tweak this, or I'm going to make small changes, or you know, I'm going to go in early 15 minutes a day and I'm going to stay late 15 minutes a day just to make sure it's like I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Or, you know, the people in the front office are really nice to me and they really do what they need to do in order to make sure that we are all safe throughout the day. I'm going to be nicer to them, or I'm going to say good morning to them as I'm walking into work. Or it's small things, it's tweaks. And it's almost like we owe it to ourselves for these small patches that we put in and that we work into our daily routine. You know, I would say so. And also, like, reflecting on when the changes that we are making aren't working. You know, realizing things that don't stick when they don't work, when they don't stick, realizing what we need to do, which would almost be more of a hot fix than anything, but it's almost an emergency patch. It's like, hey, that didn't go over well last week, or that didn't go over well last month. Maybe we need to sit down and really think about what is going on and do this. And I think that once we get to that point, I think that we start honing into what works and what don't work. Because if we realize that things don't work, and when we realize that maybe I need to spend a little bit more time turning the radio off, opening your windows, and just sitting there and thinking. You don't have to dwell on it. Yeah. No, hamster, you didn't miss it. You you're coming in right towards the end, but you did not miss it. You're good, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I think that that's the hardest part though, monkey. It's yeah, again, this is not about beating ourselves up. It's not about making ourselves feel like shit because we didn't respond to an email on time, or we didn't tell her that she was pretty when we should have, or it's not about I should have done that, or I should have made that decision, or God, I wish that I would have done this differently. It's not about that. It's not making yourself feel like shit. It's realizing that maybe our habits that we have in our daily life, sometimes those habits are more toxic than others, and realizing what we need to do to change those habits, and either a small tweak. Catching her off guard. So with that, are you a flower buyer? So dropping a card every now and then, you know, buy her a card out of the blue. Yeah. Sending the occasional I love you text, or I hope you have a good day. Or setting her up to where she has a good day. You know, her morning might not have started off, right. It's the she could have woke up late, or she could be running late for work, or it's she could just be feeling crappy. Thinking whatever. Yeah, but it helps us realize that we are not in this alone. We have the counterpart to help us when things aren't really going the best, or we might be going through a rough day. And as much as us men don't want to acknowledge it and say it, we acknowledge it. You know, we would love to get the "I love you" text or the "Hope you're having a good day" text just as much as they are. So beat them to it. You know, if you wake up before them and you leave the house before them, send them a text message on the way to work. Love you. I hope you have a good day. You know, buy her a card out of the blue, or you know, if you're not a flower buyer, buy her a single flower. You know, leave it on her keyboard at home, or you know, buy her a little knickknack or something that like reminds you of her. You know, I do the same thing every now and then. Like if I, you know, I really did it for her birthday, and you know, her shit's not gonna be here in time, and her birthday's tomorrow. But it's like, it's the thought. If you right, right, but I will, I will. And hamster, you're completely right. Even sweet things like when you first got together works well. I cannot agree with you more. But and when that fire engulfs your relationship and things start firing on all cylinders, you know you're doing something right. It letters of affirmation, you put it in her purse so she reads it during work or after she left for the day. I like it. I like it. It's good shit. Good shit. So, what we would like everyone to do this week is we're wanting to encourage you all to try a patch this week. It doesn't have to be a pig patch. It could be something as minuscule as, you know, going over the things that we went over earlier. And, you know, it's small patches could understand, you know, uninstalling things and doing small patches, you know, playing the victim mindset or having a constant excuse or chronic negative self talk and criticism. It's this week I am going to work on not replaying mistakes and regrets and awkward moments in a mental loop. And the small patch that I am going to do is that I am going to try and redirect focus to the present moment through action and mindfulness. Drinking. Yeah. Wrong motion, monkey. Wrong motion. All too well. All too well. But yeah, it's I want you guys to encourage you to try out a new patch this week. And it you could do a patch a week, you could do a patch over the next month. You know, we have about 20 or so episodes, and you know, roughly, yeah, it's just a practicing dairy farmer. Mm, right. So next month, our episode, we're going to be talking beard buffs and beard debuffs. And what I mean by that is beards are more than hair. They're confidence. They're your identity. They're a ritual. So join us for laughs, beard fails, and pro grooming tips that actually work. I like it. I like it. Heck yeah. I like it. I like that idea. But yeah, it's we definitely enjoy doing this. We thank you guys for being here. Without your continued support, it would just be us. And it doesn't matter if you're here, it doesn't matter if you're lurking, it doesn't matter if you're talking. It matters that you're here and that you're present. And sometimes it's not talking which means the most and it matters the most. So, next month, definitely get prepared. We have an entire segment, and the entire episode is about beards. It- I've actually been looking forward to the next episode. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely can't wait. I can't wait at all. Be a good episode. It'll be a good episode. SmelllikeAViking.com. 15% off. Yep. If you've missed the episode or if you're coming in towards the end of the episode, be sure to check out the YouTube channel Save Point Podcast. I believe that I have. Let's see. I want to make sure. I'm going to post the link in chat for you guys to go to. Make sure that you follow the channel, and definitely check out the video because next week's video or this week's video will be up there shortly after the we finish. So this is going to be the link for the YouTube channel. Check that out. I'll have it up here within the next hour or so. But let's see. There we go. But yeah, we thank you guys for hanging out with us. We appreciate it, the love and the support. If you haven't followed the channel yet, make sure that you go ahead and give that channel a follow. And we will be back. I believe our next episode is the end of March. So we are going to be looking at the 28th of March. So 1 month. But thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. And we will catch you on the next one. Take care.